let's make a frozen chocolate lasagna. Hi, I'm Annie from KetoFocus.com, and I've teamed up with ChocZero to show you how to make a frozen keto dessert that is so delicious. All of your guests are gonna love it if you're having any potluck this summer. Let's get started. This recipe actually reminds me a lot of a German chocolate cake because we're gonna be having chocolate, caramel, and coconut. We're using chocolate pudding in this recipe, so make sure you get a hold of some sugar-free chocolate pudding. Since this is a lasagna, it involves many different layers. Let's start on our first layer, which is the crust. To make the crust, you're gonna add the following ingredients to a food processor. 1.5 cups of almond flour, 3 tablespoons of coconut flour, 1/4 cup of golden monk fruit sweetener, but you can use whatever sweetener you'd want to. I'm just using the golden kind. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 3 tablespoons of frozen butter that I've cut up into cubes. We want to use cold butter just because we don't want that butter to melt too quickly as it's baking. We want it to make more of like a flaky crust. And then I'm adding in a teaspoon of vanilla. Pulse that together until you get crumbles that form. And then you're gonna press this down into an 8x10 baking dish. Bake this in a 350-degree oven for around 10 minutes or just until the edges start to brown. Then you're gonna remove it and set it aside to cool. Next, we're gonna work on our second layer, which is the caramel layer. For this, I'm gonna be using ChocZero's caramel syrup. This syrup is sugar-free and sugar alcohol-free. You'll need 1 bottle that we're just gonna drizzle all over the top of our crust. And that's it, that's your second layer. Now for your third layer, this is going to be a chocolate pudding layer. So I have 2 boxes of sugar-free pudding mixture. I'm gonna add in 1 cup of heavy cream along with 1 cup of nut milk. I'm gonna be using macadamia nut milk, but you could use almond milk, coconut milk, pili nut milk. You wanna whisk this together until it's thickened and then pour this mixture over your caramel layer. For the fourth layer of our lasagna, we're gonna be making a cream layer. In a separate bowl, we're gonna add 2 cups of heavy cream. You wanna beat this until stiff peaks form. For sweetness, I'm gonna be adding in 1/4 cup of powdered sweetener. You could use ChocZero's vanilla syrup here too. That makes a really good sweetness to any sort of whipped cream. And then in a separate bowl, I'm gonna beat together some softened cream cheese, which is 1 block, until it's light and fluffy. And then I'm gonna fold the two together, the cream cheese along with the whipped cream. And then we'll just layer that down on top of our chocolate lasagna. The next step is to freeze this. So you wanna freeze it for several hours until it's set. You could even freeze it overnight if you want. After it's frozen, remove it from the freezer, let it sit on the counter for about a half hour, an hour or so. You just kind of want it to melt a little bit so it's not so solid. And then now we're gonna work on our topping, which is our 5th and final layer. All you have to do is just sprinkle down 1/2 cup of coconut flakes. And then I have about 1/2 cup of ChocZero chocolate chips that I've melted down. I'm just gonna drizzle that on top. And then if you have any leftover ChocZero caramel syrup, drizzle that on as well. And your chocolate frozen lasagna is ready to serve. We hope you enjoyed this recipe, and make sure you tag us, ChocZero, with all of your photos of your frozen chocolate lasagna.